the sky gets a little dark. Long before you even hear the first drop of rain, your dog is already shaking, panting, and desperately trying to squeeze behind the toilet. If you're like most people, you probably think, oh, they're just terrified of the loud noise. But what if I told you the thunder is actually the least of their problems? Right now, your dog is experiencing an invisible, full-body physical assault. And that cozy blanket you wrap them in to make them feel safe? You are accidentally making their agony much, much worse. So why does a storm completely break their brain? It's because they are fighting a war against invisible forces that human senses are just too weak to pick up on. Reason 1. The airplane ear effect. It all starts hours before the storm actually hits. Have you ever noticed your dog pacing the living room, whining, or trying to hide while the sun is still shining outside? People love to say, wow, dogs have a sixth sense. They aren't psychic. They are just feeling the sky crashing down on them. Before a storm rolls in, the atmospheric pressure in the air drops rapidly. Think about the last time you were on an airplane as it started to land, or when you drove up a really steep mountain. Remember that sudden, uncomfortable pressure building up deep inside your ears? Sometimes it gets so bad it actually gives you a headache. That is exactly what your dog is feeling, but on a much more intense scale. Dogs have incredibly sensitive inner ears. When that barometric pressure plummets, the air pockets inside their ears physically expand. And it doesn't stop there. The fluids inside their joints expand too. For older dogs with a little bit of hidden arthritis, this atmospheric drop doesn't just feel weird, it physically hurts. Their head aches, their knees throb. Their own body is setting off internal alarms that a major environmental shift is happening, and they have absolutely nowhere to escape the invisible weight. Reason 2. Smelling the lightning. Then the second wave hits, the smell. Sometimes humans will step outside, take a deep breath, and say, I love the smell of rain. But let's be real, what we are really smelling is just wet dirt. Your dog is smelling something entirely different. They are smelling the lightning. When lightning strikes high up in the clouds, the extreme heat literally burns the oxygen in the atmosphere, creating a sharp, metallic-smelling gas called ozone. It smells a bit like chlorine from a swimming pool, and the wind pushes this gas miles and miles ahead of the actual storm. Because dogs have a sense of smell that is up to 100,000 times stronger than ours, they don't just smell the rain. Their ancient wolf DNA recognizes that sharp, metallic scent of ozone as a chemical warning that extreme, violent danger is approaching. By the time you hear the very first rumble of thunder, your dog has already been smelling a chemical threat for over an hour. To them, the air doesn't just look dark, it smells incredibly dangerous. Reason 3. The bathtub mystery and static shocks. But here is where things get truly crazy. This perfectly explains a bizarre behavior that has probably confused you for years. It's not just the noise of the thunder, it is static electricity. When your dog gets scared of a storm, where do they usually run? More often than not, they head straight for the bathroom. They try to climb into the porcelain bathtub, or they wedge themselves tightly behind the toilet next to the metal plumbing. Why the bathroom? It's not because it's quieter there, it's because of physics. During a heavy thunderstorm, the air becomes intensely charged with electromagnetic energy. Now, look at your dog. They are covered in a thick coat of fur. They are basically a walking fuzzy carpet. During a storm, massive amounts of static electricity build up in their coat. Have you ever walked across a fuzzy rug in your socks, reached out to touch a metal doorknob, and got a sharp, painful zap? Now imagine that sensation happening across your entire body, continuously, for an hour. Dogs explore the world with their wet noses, and water is a fantastic conductor of electricity. Every time they touch their nose to a wall, the floor, or a piece of furniture during a storm, they experience a painful microshock. They are literally being zapped. Your dog figured out the laws of physics way before you did. Porcelain bathtubs are excellent electrical insulators, and the metal pipes behind your toilet go deep into the wet earth. Your dog isn't just hiding, they are trying to ground themselves. They are using your bathroom to discharge the painful static electricity from their fur so they stop getting shocked. The controversy one. The blanket mistake. When your dog shivers, your human instinct is to wrap them in a cozy fleece blanket. Never do this. Synthetic fleece generates massive static electricity. By wrapping them up, you are accidentally trapping your panicking dog in an electric web, amplifying those painful microshocks. Instead, lightly wipe their fur with an unscented laundry dryer sheet. It instantly neutralizes the electrical charge, and you will literally watch their muscles relax as the shocks stop. Reason 4. Bone shakers. Finally, the actual storm arrives. The thunder rolls. But again, they aren't experiencing it the way you do. When humans hear thunder, we hear the high-pitched crack in the sky. But thunder also creates massive, low-frequency sound waves that bypass your ears entirely. These deep sound waves travel directly through the wet earth, into the concrete foundation of your house, and up through the floorboards. Dogs have special shock-absorbing nerve endings in their paw pads that are hypersensitive to vibration. When thunder booms, your dog doesn't just hear a noise. They feel a seismic vibration traveling up their legs and directly into their skeleton. To your dog, it feels exactly like a localized earthquake. Every survival instinct they inherited from wild wolves is screaming at them that the ground is collapsing and they need to find a cave immediately. The controversy 2. Busting the tough love myth. For decades, old-school trainers told us, ignore your scared dog during a storm or you'll reward their fear. Science proves this is absolute garbage. You can reward a behavior, but you cannot reinforce an emotion. If you are terrified on a turbulent flight, someone holding your hand doesn't make you more scared, it makes you feel safe. Petting your dog with slow, firm pressure releases oxytocin, which actively blocks their stress hormones. You aren't rewarding fear, you are acting as their biological shield. The urgent warning. Which brings me to one final urgent warning. Please do not take the "they just have to ride it out" approach. A lot of people think their dog will just get used to storms over time. They don't. Because of how canine brains process fear, storm anxiety almost always gets worse as a dog ages. Leaving a dog in a state of sheer panic for a 2-hour storm is incredibly toxic to their body. The massive spikes in adrenaline and cortisol can suppress their immune system, mess up their digestion, and in older dogs, the extreme stress can actually trigger dangerous cardiac events. If your dog's fear is extreme, there is absolutely no shame in asking your vet for situational anti-anxiety medication. Giving your dog medicine to help them survive a terrifying physical event isn't bad parenting. It is an act of deep empathy for an animal that trusts you with its entire life. So the next time the sky turns gray, look down at your dog differently. Forget what you thought you knew. They aren't just being dramatic about a loud noise. They are fighting an invisible war against static shocks, ear pressure, the smell of lightning, and shaking floors. Don't wrap them in a fleece blanket. Just sit with them and be the safe harbor they need. If this video completely changed the way you view your dog's anxiety, please hit the subscribe button. And I want to hear from you. Where is the weirdest or smartest place your dog has ever tried to hide during a storm? Let me know in the comments below.